Hi, I'm Brad Sherwin, Technical Agronomy and Data Analytics Lead for Landus. Today we're out in a cornfield in Calhoun County, and recently we've been getting a lot of phone calls from growers concerned about their early planted corn. Now, a couple things we'll talk through, some things to think about. First of all, remember, it takes about 90 to 120 heat units for that corn to germinate and emerge. Today the high is supposed to be 60 degrees, which means we'll only get 5 GDUs today. The other thing to think about when you're evaluating that field that you planted early is to understand where to go look first. What I generally do is go out and try and find that low-lying area of the field, an area of the field that really may have less than ideal drainage. Those are the areas that the disease that is going to be most prevalent in early season plantings is likely to occur first. Generally, when you get into those areas of the field that may have less than ideal drainage, we tend to see higher pH levels. And why is that important? Well, remember, pH is a measure of hydrogen, and that hydrogen can't permeate through the profile. It begins to accumulate. That's why we have high pH. And why is that important? Well, when the pH gets above 7.5, our phosphorus becomes fixed or tied up with calcium. Conversely, when the pH is too low, below 5.7, phosphorus becomes fixed or tied up with iron or aluminum. Either way, even though your soil test may indicate you have high or very high phosphorus levels, it's not available to the plants. Again, why is that important? Remember, that seedling is going to live off of the seed until about V3 to V5. After that, it transitions to the root system and survives on the water and nutrients taken up by the roots. When we don't have enough available phosphorus early in the season, which is critical for cell division and elongation, that plant becomes stressed, thereby making it more susceptible to early season diseases such as fusarium or anthracnose or even phytophthora. Another issue in these areas of the field that may be less than ideal from a drainage perspective is compaction. Wet soils tend to compact easier, especially if heavy equipment is driven over them, or if they just stay waterlogged. In those situations, compaction can have a multiple effect. The potassium in those areas, even though the potassium level on the soil test may indicate you're high or very high, can become trapped in the clay layers, making it unavailable to the plants. The other effect of compaction, obviously, is when the roots development becomes prohibited. Plants can't develop a big enough root mass to feed the plant, thereby creating a stress. It can't get enough water and nutrients into it, again making it more susceptible to disease. So one of the things you want to make sure and check when you get out into that field, you find that lower lying area of the field that may or may not have ideal drainage, is to find some seedlings planted in there, dig one or two up, and gently squeeze that seedling and see if it's firm. A good healthy seedling at this point in time will still be firm. Seedling that's had some issues, maybe some disease coming into it's going to be soft and rather mushy feeling. Those are the areas you want to start to look at first and gauge from there what the next step needs to be. Generally speaking, early season fungicide applications at V5 over the years have been somewhat inconsistent, but given the ideal planting conditions earlier in the season here and then the cooling off that we've had recently, this may be a year where those fields in particular that were planted earlier and now it's cooled off and we're seeing some compromised seed quality may benefit greatly from that V5 fungicide application. Keep in mind, it's the strobilurins in the fungicides that are most effective against the early season seedling type diseases such as fusarium, anthracnose, or phytophthora. What to do? Well, in those fields that you may be planting here in the near future, and you know that that field may not have the ideal drainage profile for it, take a look at the hybrids you intend to plant, look at the seed guides, look at the emergent scores, plant hybrids that have really good, strong emergent scores, and that have really good ratings for some of the early season diseases like the fusarium, the anthracnose, or the phytophthora. Second thing I would look at is the seed treatments. If you're going to be planting into a field that may or may not have the ideal drainage profile for it, look at hybrids that have a high rate of seed treatment. Most of the seed treatments on the market today are going to be effective for about 2 to 3 weeks. A full rate seed treatment obviously is going to be more effective for a longer period of time than a lower or half-rate seed treatment. Those could be a couple good guides to help you understand where to put the right hybrid when it comes to planting, given the weather forecast we have. Last thing I want to talk about, a number of growers over the recent years have been sending in seed samples to have cold germ tests taken. Nothing wrong with that, but I think it's important that growers understand what type of test the lab you're sending your seed to is running. Some labs run the wet towel test. Seeds that have a high rate of seed treatment on them in a wet towel test can sometimes give you misleading results because of the contact that the radicle comes into with the wet towel and the seed treatment on there. The preferred method, in my mind, is to have a cold germ test using a soil medium of some sort. So important to understand what type of test is being run on your cold germs. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your local Landus account lead or account manager, or reach out to the Grow Solution Center for more information. Hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. We look forward to the next agronomy video from Landus.